Good morning. You're watching Market Fatafat on 18 now. A wrap of all the stocks, the big buzzers and movers and the hottest trends in the markets today in trade. I'm Mubina Kapasi and we have a team of research analysts joining in to give you a flavor of what's buzzing and the happening stocks in today's trade. Plus, we're also going to be joined by Ashish Kyal of Wave Strategy Advisors. Thanks to all of you for joining in. Markets, meantime, of course, in the grip of the bears. We are more than 1% down. 128 odd points gone for the Nifty. The small cap index is now losing close to 2%. But let's kickstart the countdown then with the first stock on our radar, and that's going to be the OMCs. They're declining today in trade, and this is ahead of the all-important OPEC and Non-OPEC members meet at Vienna, where there is going to be discussions on whether or not to cut crude oil production. This in turn is something that would impact oil prices majorly. Of course, ahead of the meeting, we are seeing Brent declining close to about 0.7 to 0.8 odd %. OMCs ahead of the meeting too are trading very weak in trade. The next stock on our radar is DLF. The stock price, of course, in tandem with the rest of the realty space is declining. Kunal, your view?
So I think the stock has broken some critical supports. I think yesterday also, the stock managed to test its support trend line around this 175 mark. But today, I think after the gap down opening, the stock has clearly broken this key support. Now I believe that the stock should drift lower, given the kind of weakness in the chart patterns, especially on the early time frame. 160 to 162 could be a target range for DLF, suggesting a short. Stop was to be kept at 174.
So Kunal believes the stock would go lower. The realty space is weak. DLF a big loser. Currently, of course, the big news makers today is going to be REC, PFC.
That's right. Both of these stocks continue to be in focus, and more so today because the cabinet is likely to consider the proposal for PFC to acquire REC. Do remember earlier on it was decided it's going to be the other way around, and then post that we had another update stating that it's now PFC which is going to fetch the government around 15,000 crores via the merger with REC. The government currently holds nearly 58% stake in REC and 5.6% in PFC, and what essentially they're doing is that they want to pair their entire stake, the government, to PFC via this merger.
And in the run-up to the news, these stocks have fallen quite a bit today, being no exception. Pranay, we just had some news with respect to Kirloskar Ferris. What's the stock doing?
Well, yes, Mubina, the company has been declared as the preferred bidder in the e-auction of the iron ore mine in Karnataka, and that's a positive for Kirloskar Ferris when it comes to the resource visibility for its production going forward.
And Kirloskar Ferris, however, after spiking up post that news, has actually slipped considerably now near the day's low. Okay, the next stock that we have on our radar is Just Dial. Siddharth, significant price movement as well witnessed here.
Well, more than price movement, Mubina, what's happening since last two sessions is that there is a formation of short position. Today you are seeing that stock is 5% down and there is more than 20% rise in open interest. Yesterday stock was flat. Still there was substantial rise in OI, which means that yesterday and today both were formation of short positions, and after consolidation almost for 2-3 weeks, if I'm not wrong, stock has given a breakdown. So that's a negative observation for stock.
All right, so that's Just Dial for you. Down in trade, 4.5% lower. Ashish, Oriental Bank, PSU banks have been weak today as well. OBC is seeing selling pressure come by. What's your take?
See, the overall trend for PSU banks had been negative. What we saw recently was just a pullback, not a of that entire down. I think use this as the pullback as a shorting opportunity, and it has been constantly forming lower high, lower low, which means that the trend remains negative. Sell at CMB, use 85.60 as a stop loss. Expect a target of 78.95.
And PSU banks have certainly been drifting lower, not just today, but for the last couple of sessions. Hindalco, meantime, along with PSU banks, even metals have been drifting lower. Yesterday we saw a massive downtick. Today too, that is continuing. Metal stocks are weak. In fact, out of the 15 constituents, 13 of them are losing in trade. Do remember, metal prices as well across the globe have been falling. There are renewed concerns about the US-China trade war, with Donald Trump coming out more defiantly saying that they are still going to impose tariffs if China does not, adhere to the conditions that had been put forward during the G20 meet. So we are seeing that essentially put pressure on metal prices. Metal stocks today as well are falling rather in trade. Okay, let's talk about another sector that has been declining, and that is autos. Karanya, Maruti is well cracking big time.
That's right. Look at the sharp 4% fall the stock has seen in today's trading session. There has been an update which actually should have relieved investors to some extent, because Maruti is looking to hike prices across its various models and portfolios from 1st January onwards. They've not disclosed what will be the quantum of the price hike, which are the models that they are targeting, and how much is the price hike going to be. But it's very clear, time and again the management has said that they've been ailing big time because of higher commodity costs, because of forex pressures, and just in order to offset it, because they've earlier taken a price hike as well, but that has not really helped too much. So they're looking to probably further hike the prices in order to help them improve their financial performance, because do remember their margins have been a bit of a concern, rather a large concern for the markets over the last couple of quarters.
And Maruti cracking big time, 4% lower. Pranay, what's keeping Sonata Software busy in trade?
Well, they've acquired a small company, Scalable Data Systems, for about $5.5 million enterprise valuation. For the year, though, the outlook remains pretty good in double digits, and after that acquisition, you're seeing a slight uptick on the counter.
More than 3% higher for a Sonata Software. Siddharth, let's talk about aviation, which has of course been buzzing for the last couple of days. Today especially, given that there's going to be a decision on crude prices. But yeah, in the midst of all of that, what's the take on Indigo?
Well, if I'm not wrong, the stock we spoke yesterday as well in Fatafat session, but for a completely different reason, Mobina. Now what has happened that the fall in crude oil price from $85 to $60 per barrel led to rise in some of these names, and Indigo moved from 700 to 1,000 bucks. Now, despite crude oil price staying at lower levels, we are seeing some correction. There is a gap which is on chart between 930 and 940, and if stock does this gap filling exercise, then it would be a good buy on dips kind of thing for stock. At the same time, we are seeing formation of short positions. So yes, there can be some downside, and charts are suggesting 930 to 940 is the level to watch out for.
And 980 rupees on the counter for an Interglobe aviation. Meantime, Kunal, Page Industries, this is a counter that has seen significant selling pressure right from its second quarter numbers, and looks like that's continuing.
Absolutely, Mubina, and in that process of selling pressure, it's been breaking some key support levels. So the pattern on the daily charts broadly is a lower top and lower bottom kind of a formation, but when you try and assess it over the very short term period, it's broken some very key supports. The near term support which the stock broke, I think yesterday or day before, was closer to 25,100, and I believe that with these pattern weakness and the supports getting breached, the stock could head towards even 23,000 over the next couple of weeks and months. So that's a sell from my side. Targets of 23,000, stop loss 25,100.
And it's 3.3% lower for Page Industries, and Kunal believes this is a shorting candidate. Sagar Cements, meantime, some news coming in over there, and this is with respect to the company's expansion plans. First up, it's a 150 crore rupee investment they'll be making in Sadguru Cement. Not just that, they also have another 108 crore rupees that they want to invest in Jaipur Cements. And then there is a greenfield cement plant that they are planning in Madhya Pradesh. So expansion plans on the anvil for this cement major. The stock price, however, after being solid for the first half of the trading session, or rather just in the early hours of the trading session, has subsequently lost a lot of steam and now is gaining just approximately about half-odd%. Okay, let's talk about stock number 13 then, and Karanya, NBCC as well as JP Infra. Now, while JP Infra is now almost a penny stock, what exactly is the news with respect to these two listed companies? Well, the news is regarding an update regarding the bidders who had evinced interest in picking up, or rather rescuing JP Infratech. NBCC, Kodak Investment, Singapore-based firm Cube Highways and Suraksha Group have been shortlisted as bidders for this debt-laden company. This is, of course, according to a regulatory filing which was given to the exchanges last evening. JP Infratech, to remember, is undergoing insolvency proceeding in the NCLT. L&T Infra was also one of the top contenders, top bidders for this particular company. But with this update, we are clear that L&T Infra is out of the race, and it's these four which are going to be the front runners to acquire JP Infra. Okay, and these two stocks certainly are very active today in trade. At least JP Infra is, but it's just a 4 rupee odd stock. NBCC, however, is losing more than 1% in trade. Keeping it with the auto themes, however, which is declining significantly. Nevertheless, Pranay, Credit Suisse seems to be quite optimistic on tractors.
Yes, Mobina. Credit Suisse has acknowledged the sharp derating that we've seen for the tractor maker, and it believes that the company will outgrow the industry rate for this year. Therefore, after this correction in the counter, they've in fact classified it as one of their top mid-cap picks and have a target price which is, about 60% higher from the current level, 1,050.
All right, almost a 60% uptick is what they expect from an Escorts. Not just Escorts, they've even in fact spoken about M&M, again relating it to the tractor theme. Remember, both these stocks have fallen a lot, and even for M&M, according to Credit Suisse, the valuations are very, very attractive. Okay, Reliance Infra, the shorting over there continues. It's another 4% downtick, and Siddharth, as we speak, the stock is now languishing near the day's low.
Well, yes, almost 20% correction, Mobina, in last 6 session. As you mentioned, shorting pressure continues over here. Yesterday too, we have seen a heavy pile-up of short positions. Today too, the stock is doing well. ADAG group of stocks, especially Infra and Capital, they have always time and again given this, notion to investors and traders that support is there, and then they are bouncing and probably worst is behind. And then after a few months, they make new lows. So stay away from these names.
Stay away from a Reliance Infra. It's more than a 4% downtick now as we speak. All right, we are down with 15 stocks, so let's just do one thing, take a breather on market Fatafat. All of our research analysts will be with us, as well as Ashish. So stay tuned. We'll be back with the rest of the 15 stocks when we return. Welcome back. You're watching Market Fatafat on ET now, where our team of researchers as well as Ashish Kayal are getting you a sense of what exactly are the big movers and shakers and the trends we're spotting in today's trade. And speaking of movers and shakers, Ashish, let's talk about Asian Paints. What is it that you're witnessing there in today's move?
In Asian Paints, we saw a very strong rise on the upside.
Okay, I think there's a bit of a technical error over there, and it's not Reliance Infra, it's Asian Paints that we're talking about, where Ashish's strategy is that the stock is essentially going to move in a range. So you should consider using the dips that you see in the stock price to buy. He has his target placed at 1,360 rupees. He's keeping a stop loss at 1,270 rupees. Okay, the other big buzzer today is Dish TV, and interestingly, it's not just today, but for the last couple of trading sessions that we have seen significant selling pressure come by in the company. In fact, 5 straight days of losses is what we are seeing in Dish TV today. It's extended for the 5th straight session today as well. It's down by 2.7%. And just in these last 5 sessions, the stock has actually cracked almost about 12%. Do remember that we do have pressure coming in with respect to Jio. The entire OTT industry as well is coming in under pressure on account of Jio's entry. So let's see how that pans out for many of these companies. But yeah, for now, the stock has continued to fall. And I think we are witnessing some fresh shots as well on a Dish TV today in trade. Okay, moving away from that, let's talk about IT, and more specifically in Mindtree, where there is some news. Karnya, we at ET now spoke about this first, and now it looks like VG Siddhartha wants to move out of Mindtree.
Right, that's exactly what reports in the newspapers are stating this morning. Mindtree's largest investor, VG Siddhartha, who's the founder also of Cafe Coffee Day Enterprises, is looking along with several other large shareholders to exit their stake in this Bangalore-based company. This is, of course, something that is quite nascent. Even the reports are not attributing it to any particular source. But what we're also reading in the reports is that KKR has evinced interest in buying a large stake in the company. This is also according to sources at this point of time. So one has to wait and see what really happens by the end of it. But stock clearly is reacting down in trade by 1%.
And we are seeing pricing action not only in Mindtree but even in a Coffee Day Enterprises. Both of these stocks are big buzzers today in trade on the back of that news. Okay, the other big buzzer is NCC. A massive 9% fall is what we've seen. Pranay, what's the take here?
Well, the stock is down 9% today, but over 12% in the last 2 days. I think this is ahead of the Telangana elections beginning tomorrow, and there could be some uncertainty as to the awarding of the projects near term. But actually, it has a very, very healthy order book and reasonably good execution track record. So just some short-term correction that you're seeing in the counter. Nevertheless, with this kind of fall, the stock is now quoting at about 9-week lows. 5-week lows rather, and is the top loser on the small cap index.
Yeah, and at the current market price of 76, the stock is trading at investment P ratio of 8 times FY20 and EV EBITDA of 4.8 times. So pretty decent as well when it comes to valuations. Management has told analysts that it's business as usual and they are not aware of the sudden drop in the stock price. Okay, moving away from NCC, Siddharth, we were talking about PSU banks, how pressure has been building on these stock prices. Bank of India as well in that category.
Well, yes, it is in that category, Mobina, and we are seeing some rise in open interest with fall in price. So theoretically, this is formation of short position. Now, we all know that Bank of India is not a very quality name within PSU banking space. So if all PSU banks are correcting and Bank of India is also correcting, then volume should have been quite high. But my observations are saying that volumes in both the segment, that is cash and futures, are quite low. So don't get carried away by this down move. Till the time, these PSU banks don't correct with higher volume, the trend continuation is not there. And anyway, Bank of India is consolidating. So yes, wait and watch approach should be adopted despite you're seeing formation of short position in futures.
And days low for Bank of India at 81.25. Keeping it with the theme of public sector banks, Kunal, you're highlighting Indian Bank.
Mobina, I think this has been one of the few PSU banks which has continued to remain under some severe selling pressure in the last few months. Now that from the time when the stock fell from 325, 330 levels, it's hardly seen any major recovery. Now when you see a stock not able to recover in the best of the market times, they are the ones which generally give up when the market trends drift lower, and which is what you're seeing for Indian Bank happening today. I believe now the stock has opened some fresh legs on the downside, bearish flag breakout for the stock. Would look out for targets of 205, stop loss 225.
So that's 1.8% gone for Indian Bank in light of the weakness witnessed in PSBs. Okay, Siemens meantime is another stock that we'd like to highlight on account of the double upgrade for the counter from underperform to outperform by Macquarie with the price target of 1,128 rupees. As according to them, valuations for the counter have improved meaningfully. Business mixes as well steadily moving towards short cycle product businesses in segments like digital and automation, and they also expect margin recovery to continue, which would drive a 13% earnings CAGR over FY18 to 21. They believe that Siemens growth is steadily reducing its dependence on the T&D segments with strong growth in short cycle business order flows, and they are raising their FY19 to 20 earnings by 14 and 13% on account of the margin recovery. So despite the carnage we are witnessing in the broader market, Siemens is being able to hold on. Moving on from Siemens, let's talk about another stock, Inox Wind, Karania bulk deal here.
That's right. In fact, the seller in this particular bulk deal is Nomura Singapore, which has sold close to 48 lakh shares of the company. The buyer here is Prime India Opportunity Fund. They've bought it at 80 rupees a share, 47.5 lakhs to be exact. So that's an important bulk deal that took place yesterday, on back of which the stock continues to remain in focus.
2.8% under pressure for Inox Wind. Okay, we have a brokerage note as well that has come in on Aurobindo and Pranay. I think they seem to be pretty optimistic.
Well, while brokerages are optimistic on the prospects from Sandoz and the visibility on drugs, the reason why the stock is down perhaps is because it's been named in a lawsuit for adulterated irbesartan. This is one of the APIs which is being used in a product in US, and the news report indicates that Aurobindo is one of the suppliers for that. Therefore, after the recent rally on that brokerage optimism and this slightly negative news, we don't know what it means for the company monetarily, but on the back of that, it's down in trade today.
Oh yes, I suppose that is something that's certainly putting pressure on the stock price. So we did see an initial uptick come in, but yeah, completely erasing all those losses now at the day's low. Siddharth, let's talk about M&M Finance. What is it that you're seeing over here in the way the stock price is moving?
Well, 6% rise in open interest moving now with fall in price. That means these are shorts. Important support of 415 or 715, sorry, has been 415. Actually, it's M&M Finance. We are flashing M&M actually. So M&M Finance has breached 415 support level, which was very important, and this is happening on back of very strong volumes in both the segments. So watch out for this name, because the support has been breached and there is formation of short positions, likelihood of further downside.
Okay, so that's M&M Financial, 3.2% lower as we speak. Siddharth's strategy, of course, for the same as well. You just heard out. Another big mover of late has been Equitas, Ashish. This week certainly has been just almost a one-way move for the NBFC from levels of almost about 130 odd rupees, 126 odd rupees. Now it's at 113. You have a sell here?
Yes, of course, we have seen very sharp decline on Equitas from the higher levels, and I think after a three-way up, we are starting an impulse down again. So go short on Equitas as CMP, stop loss as 117 and target of 105.
Okay, that's the view on Equitas that you just heard out from Ashish. A strategy you could consider selling this one. ICICI Securities as well is something that we have on our radar. While the stock seems to be pretty quiet today in trade, in fact it's lower by 1%, again erasing some of those early morning up moves. Citi has a buy on this stock with the target at 290 rupees per share. They believe that while the near-term pressure on the earnings is likely to sustain, there's also, of course, the lower cash trading volumes, the weaker mutual fund distribution, which are some negatives. The company does have a strong franchise in partnership with ICICI Bank, so that I suppose would be a positive. The other positive is the valuations. 12 times the FY20 PE. That, according to Citi, is attractive and hence it's a buy candidate for them. Karanya, order wins for Power Grid.
That's right, and that's the reason it's buzzing in trade. Well, it has cooled off a fair bit, but yes, pretty much in focus. They've bagged a project in Uttar Pradesh. This is to set up a system for transmission of electricity from 1320 megawatt Jawaharpur thermal power plant and constructing of a 400 kilowatt substation at Firozabad in Uttar Pradesh along with associated transmission lines. This is a project that they've bagged yesterday post market hours, and that's why since the word go, we've been watching for this particular counter very closely.
Okay, it may have cooled off, but still it's one of those only three gainers that are there on the benchmark Nifty. So resilient for Power Grid on the back of this order win. Pranay, let's talk about Zydus Wellness. We do have the board meeting that's coming in. There was lots of volatility as well that we witnessed in the stock price of this one for the last couple of days.
Yes, Mobina, the reason why Zydus and Cadila both will be in focus today is because of the board meeting of Zydus where they are going to consider fundraising both through preferential allotment and through other means which could include maybe even PE investors and debt. This is for that, health beverage drink that they had done earlier, and basically to prepare funding for that. So let's see, the market estimate is about 3,000 crores, out of which maybe 1,200 crores could be through equity and equity linked route. Let's see what the outcome of that meet is today.
All right, 0.9% lower, but yes, we are watching out for the board meeting. And finally, Siddharth, for stock number 30, you're flagging off BEML. Sharp fall over there too.
Well, yes, the support of 695 and 700, that level or zone is getting challenged, Mubina. Yesterday, two stock was correcting, and today, in first 2.5 hours, the volumes in cash market have already surpassed yesterday's volume. So you can understand the kind of selling we are seeing in cash market today. Plus, there's 4 to 5% rise in open interest, which means there is formation of short position. So if this support zone of 695, 700 goes, that might open further downside for the counter.
Okay, there you have it. 30 stocks wrapped up for you, highlighting all the movers and shakers in 30 minutes. Thanks to all of you for joining in and giving us a sense of the movers. Ashish, to you as well for sharing your strategies. It's a goodbye. Stay tuned. At 1:30, we'll be coming up with a new version.